What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I am your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showmont. It's been a couple of days. I've been a little bit out since we made the playoffs. I did Hurricanes Unfiltered live on Monday night. Thank you to everyone who jumped on board. I appreciate it. Did do our full podcast tonight, myself with Nick Taylor, three-time CFL champion. Was in New York yesterday, so I really didn't have a chance to record. Uh, Beat tired. I did drop a combat corner video on Tuesday night, but it's the last couple of days. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. This week is probably gonna be more of a dead week. I'm gonna put content up and stuff like that, but probably not the same energy because last week took a lot out of me. I mean, from watching all the games to the lengthy ass lives to to Selection Sunday to all the stuff that went on. It was exhausting, man. It was truly exhausting. I know you guys understand. There's been stuff popping off in college football, though, and we are going to talk about this Notre Dame situation because it does directly reflect and have an impact on the Miami Hurricanes in terms of what they did, how they did it, and the manner in which they've carried themselves. And it largely has to do with the Miami Hurricanes because they can't get out of their own way and who they're blaming or who they're crying about. And depending on the podcast I've seen podcasts that are sitting here saying Notre Dame's energy should not be at Miami. It should be at the committee, and it should also be at the treatment of Alabama. But we can jump in right now. Of course, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. Let me give a shout out to the sponsor of our show, Natalie Lopez, attorney at law. When life hits hard, the law firm of Natalie Lopez hits back harder. Practicing in criminal defense and family law, she can be reached at 954-888-8833. And you can follow her on Instagram at NAT. That's NAT.guilty. Not guilty, but it's Nat guilty. So, make sure you check her out on Instagram. Again, she's located in South Florida, offices in downtown Fort Lauderdale, covering the state of Florida. Reach out to her if you have any issues. Appreciate you, Natalie Lopez. As always, God bless. Let's jump on in on this topic, man. Notre Dame, after being left out of the college football playoff, Notre Dame decided to take their ball and run home to mama. That is what Notre Dame did. Notre Dame decided. They decided that, yeah, we're not going to play in the Pop Tarts Bowl because we don't want to be around Pop Tarts. We're not going to play because our feelings got hurt, and we have decided that we're going to take our ball and run home. And I mean, hey, you do what you do, but the respect of people around the country, a lot of people, you probably don't care, but it's been lost. And the fact of the matter is, they would have played BYU, and now stepping in is Georgia Tech. And I think that Georgia Tech BYU game will be a pretty good game. I expect Haynes King to play. I believe he's a senior. I expect that guy to play. Now, maybe Notre Dame, after they had their little player meeting and decided we're not going to play, I guess I'm sure in that meeting they found out that Jeremiah Love said screw this, and the other running back they got said screw this, and some other players said screw this. But you know what? That's on them to say screw this. This is not about them individually, and you can ask other teams that have also been unceremoniously left out of the playoffs, whether it was the 14 playoff or the 12 team playoff, and I'm sure there'll be people crying when they expand it to 16, and I expect it to be expanded to 16 this year in the offseason. I've always I've always talked about 16 teams. It's 16 teams in every other division of college football, but for some reason, Division One has always chosen to run to its own toot or whatever the heck you want to call it. And here we are right now, and Notre Dame has decided they're not going to play. Now, you can go look at Pete Bavacqua, the AD at Notre Dame, and how he's carried himself over the last week or 4 days, crying, bitching, and moaning about everything under the sun, getting on every show he can get on to cry, bitch, and moan. Well, maybe he should have been on different shows the week before, championing his program, because that's what the hell Mario Cristobal was doing. I mean, Mario Cristobal was getting on every show he could because you know what? Nationally, we all know what the deal was. We all know that Miami beat Notre Dame. It didn't change. And sitting here saying, well, that was back in September, but that doesn't matter. That's literally the fucking tiebreaker in any sport. Head-to-head matters when you have tie records. I understand that they don't play the same schedules, but Miami's schedule and Notre Dame's schedule is virtually identical. They play a lot of the same teams. Miami beat all the same teams that Notre Dame largely beat them worse. In fact, Miami's best win actually is Notre Dame. So, yeah, that benefits Miami. But then there are people that will sit here and say, oh, well, what if Miami didn't play Notre Dame? Well, Miami, and they wouldn't even be in this situation now. Well, actually, that's not accurate because if Miami beat Alabama Miami beating Georgia, Miami beating Texas, Miami beating I don't know Ohio State, Texas Tech, Texas A&M. I mean all these different teams that are actually in the top 6 right now, and Alabama, of course. That would actually be a better win than the Notre Dame win, would it not be? And actually, if you looked at those wins, then we're probably not even having this conversation about Notre Dame because we're sitting here saying Miami should probably be ranked number 6 or 7, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. That's just what it is. So I mean, the egotistical nature of Notre Dame and how they think they're better than everybody, that they look down upon people. They haven't won a national championship in 37 years and act like they mean something. Yes, they are the only program that has their own network. Yeah, you're right. They have their own TV deal with NBC Peacock. They're getting $50 million a year, which is why they don't want to join a conference. But you know that when you know what comes with that. What comes with that is the recourse and the consequences of your actions. Because if you had been in the ACC, you might possibly could have played in the ACC championship and guaranteed yourself a freaking playoff spot. You could have done that, but you chose not to. You've chosen not to, even though you play 6 games against ACC opponents. And I know there is something out there where they said they want to play Clemson, Florida State, Miami only. It's not how things work. You don't get it. You don't. This isn't Burger King. This isn't Burger King. You don't get to play the same 3 teams every single year. Like, if you played Florida State and Clemson this year, what would that have done for your record? They were both those teams were bad this season. But the fact of the matter is you played 3 2-10 teams, and they weren't all in the freaking they were not all in the ACC. You played a Purdue out of the Big Ten, 2-10. Purdue has been historically bad. You played but I listened to Manti Te'o telling Stephen A. Smith, well, these are historical rivalries. Purdue is not a rivalry to anybody. Rivals actually have to beat each other. That's what a rivalry is. Rivals beat each other. Like there's no time where one team beats the other 15 straight times. Like that's just not real. In fact, if you want to go look at the historical context of Notre Dame and Purdue, for example, I haven't even looked this up. I'm just decided that's the team I'm going to go with. Um, so their all-time record with Purdue is 66. Oh my God, it is 60-26. That's not a rivalry, people. The last time Purdue won, the last time Purdue beat Notre Dame in football. So they have played for a very, very long time. But you want to know the last time Purdue beat Notre Dame in football? 2007. It's been 18 years. They ain't beat these dudes in 18 years. They've lost 10 straight times. Before that, they lost 2 in a row. Before that, then Purdue won a couple. I guess that's probably around the time that Drew Brees was playing. I don't know when Drew Brees was playing. Maybe it was 99, whatever. And then prior to 97, Notre Dame won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 straight times. I mean, this is a team that has, since 1986, has an 11-game winning streak and a 10-game winning streak. I mean, just think about that for a second. In that period, they are 21, 22, 24, 26. They are 26-5 against Purdue since 86. That's not a rivalry, people. That's a joke. Then you can talk about the Notre Dame Navy rivalry, where they say we keep that rivalry going. We've been playing these dudes forever. Okay, you're right. You have. And guess what? That series is 82-13. That's not a rivalry. That's just 2 teams that play. That's 2 teams that play. Rivalries require losing. There was a period where Notre Dame won every game from 1964 until 2006. Navy somehow has won 4 games in the last 18 years. But Notre Dame still is on an 8-game winning streak, and literally only 1 game has been actually close. Notre Dame largely blows these guys out. Even when they're bad, they blow them out. Like, this is a joke. But you play them, and you wonder why even when Navy's good, you wonder why people don't respect it. So you play this bum-ass schedule. You play Navy, you play Purdue, you played Arkansas, who was 2-10. You played Boston College, another longtime rival, who you played a bunch, according to Manti Te'o. And I remember they played him back in '88. That's what. I'm sorry, 93. That's what ruined them then. That one doesn't have the length, so I don't know why they're making a big deal about that one. That one's 18-9, Notre Dame. So I don't know why they keep Boston College up there, but like you got all these bullshit games that they play. They played Syracuse, Stanford, Boston College. Played Miami, they played Pittsburgh, and they played NC State. And Miami beat NC State worse than they did. Miami beat Pitt worse than they did. Miami beat Stanford worse than they did. These are facts. They're not. I'm not making it up. The margin of victory was larger. But again, those games are insignificant to me. The reality at the end of the day was Miami beat them head to head. And whether they beat them in August, September, October, or November, they beat them head to head. And this whole mentality that Miami wasn't playing well. Miami has been playing exceptionally well the last month of the season. It doesn't matter what they did midseason. They lost. Great. They lost. Did Notre Dame play SMU or Louisville? No. No, they did not. They played a USC team who was terrible on the road this year. They beat them. Great. That's their biggest win of the season. They lost to Texas A&M when Texas A&M, no one thought Texas A&M would be anything. And they choked that game away. Had the lead. Last possession. Had the lead. Blew it. One thing I can tell you about Miami is that Miami did blow that 20-17 lead versus SMU, but in that same situation, the penalty is what changed that game. A real bad and dumb one. I mean, realistically, and they never led against Louisville, so they didn't really blow the Louisville game. They never led the game. They trailed 14-0 in the blink of an eye, and were fighting from behind the whole game. But this isn't about Miami. This is not even about Notre Dame. This is about the crybaby mentality and behavior of Notre Dame. So we're not going to play in a bowl game because the players decided this. Well, guess what? You guys have adults in the room, and the adults in the room should have said, no, that's not how things work here. That's not how things work here. We don't just fucking show up when we fucking are happy. We show up when we're not happy too. And you have players who will never play college football ever again on this team, who will never suit up ever again, never play another down of football, whose family members probably would want to see them play again, knowing it's the last chance they're ever going to have to watch their sons play football. That's reality. And if I'm a player on that Notre Dame team and I'm being told that I'm not playing ever again because I got some seniors who are leaving early, or some juniors or players that are not going to play, who cares? Last year, Miami was in this same exact situation. In the exact same situation. In fact, no one knew that when Miami lost to Syracuse, that it would tumble out of the ranking. Now, people could have assumed it. I don't know. I don't recall it exactly. I mean, I know it was a bad situation to lose that game. I know it was. And it sucked because it knocked us out of the conference championship. And Clemson ends up beating SMU on a last-second field goal to have that luxury of making the team, and they're not ranked in the top 12 because of the stupid rules that allow this. Now, if you look at Miami last year, if you look at Miami in week 11, Miami was ranked number 4. Okay. They lost to Georgia Tech and dropped down to number 9. 5 spots. They lost a road game by 5 points to Georgia Tech and dropped 5 spots. I would charge you to find most situations in which, where you're dropping a team like that, losing a road game by 5 points, 5 spots to a solid team. They weren't a great team, but you know what? That same team gave Georgia all the shit they could handle. Miami wins the next week. They go up to 8, and then they lose to Syracuse on the road and fall down to 12. This is what happened. They fell down to 12. I'm sorry. My bad. My mistake. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at the wrong thing. So actually, after they beat, let me look at it again. So they're 11-0. They're ranked 4th. They're 9-0. They lose. So week 12, they drop down to 8. No, to number 9. Week 13, they don't even play and jump up a spot. I guess someone lost. Week 14, they win. I don't even remember who the hell they beat, and that got them to number 6. So at 10-1 and number 6 in the country, you didn't know for sure if Miami would drop out of the standings with a loss to Syracuse. You didn't know. You couldn't be sure. This was an 8-3 team on the road who has the quarterback who's thrown for the most yards in the country, even more than Cam Ward last year. And it wasn't like it was a non-competitive game. Miami jumped up 21-0, but Miami's defense was terrible. And Miami ended up losing the game with 42-38. But it wasn't like it was a non-competitive game. It was a very competitive game, and Miami drops from number 6 to number 12. Number 12. In fact, dropped below Alabama. The same Alabama that had just lost 24-3 to Oklahoma a couple weeks earlier. So Alabama was ranked number 7 at 8-2, a spot ahead of Miami. They lose to Oklahoma 24-3. This is now back-to-back years. And you know where Alabama dropped to from 7? They dropped to 13. They got beat by 3 touchdowns. And Oklahoma wasn't even ranked in the top. I mean, they weren't even in the top 25. Oklahoma was not ranked in the top 25. Where was Oklahoma? Oklahoma was, where are they? I can't find them. No. Oklahoma wasn't even in the top 25, people. So they lost to an unranked Oklahoma. In fact, I gotta do this even deeper now because this is really pissing me off. Because this is just an example of the freaking complete bias that exists within the SEC situation. But when they played them last year, and I'm gonna bring this into a circle. Don't worry. They lost to Oklahoma 24-3. 24-3. Oklahoma at the time of that game was 6-5. They played a 5-5 team and lost 24-3. Like, think about this for a second. Can you imagine anybody else on the face of planet Earth getting beat by 21 points and only dropping from 7 to 13 to a team that's 500? Like, this is what happens with Alabama. Like, people forget this shit. Last year, Miami was going to make the playoffs. Miami was going to make the playoffs if not for Alabama being jumped over Miami for losing a 4-point game on the road to a team that was 9-3. But Alabama lost to an unranked team. You know this verbiage that's been used all year. Miami lost to unranked teams. Well, Alabama did too. Alabama did too. And Alabama did not go anywhere. In fact, what they did was they ended up beating Auburn. Auburn, another 500 team, beat them, and they jump up to number 12. Think about that for a second. Does that even remotely make sense? It does not. You know it doesn't. We know it doesn't. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And that's what happened. That is exactly what happened. They jumped up off bullshit. And so this is the second year in a row that this has happened. So now we were the victims last year. Now Notre Dame is the victim. Again, beating Auburn jumped them up with a 9-3 record, and Miami was 10-2. These are facts. These are facts. They're not fiction. They're not feelings. They're facts. And so Alabama, at that point, if everything had ended that day, would have made the college football playoff. But what ended up happening was, if you don't recall, was that the idiot in charge of the football playoff committee said, well, no one who plays in the conference championship will drop. So as an Alabama person, you're sitting here saying, oh, well, all we need is for SMU to win. And if SMU wins, we're in. And Miami, you just dropped 6 spots from 6 to 12, losing a 42-38 game on the road to a 9-3 team with the number 1 quarterback in America in yards passing per game, and Kyle McCord, and you get to drop 6 spots, and now you're out of the playoffs. So you have no way to get back in the playoffs because Alabama can't possibly drop, and SMU can't drop, and anyone else that loses can't drop. So here you are, you're fucked. This is what it is. You're fucked. This is what it is. You are fucked. Like last year, Georgia at number 5 was 10-2, ranked 5th. At 10-2. Ohio State was 10-2 and ranked 6th after losing to a 500 Michigan team at home and only dropped 4 spots. But Miami dropped 6, losing by 4 on the road. Tennessee was 10-2, ranked 7. Now SMU loses to Clemson, and then Clemson jumps into number 12, and there goes Alabama because Boise State was a top 10 team. So you didn't need to create a spot for Boise State. That 12 was created for Clemson, the 5th highest ranked conference champion. And they didn't drop SMU out. They put SMU down to what, number 10, I think it was, or 11. They moved SMU down to number 10. And there you go. And Miami ended up dropping, in fact, behind Arizona State in that final ranking for whatever reason. I guess because Arizona State won their conference. They won their conference championship game, but they got left out. I don't even know why. Don't even know why. Yeah, I don't even know why they got left out. But they went. No, I'm sorry. They went. Actually, Arizona State was 12. They ended up being the number 11, number 14 because they were seeded because they won the conference championship, and Clemson jumped in at the 12. So Miami would have, and SMU was seeded 11. So Miami would have been a playoff team had SMU not won, in the event that Alabama had not jumped them, but also if they had not said that stupid shit about, well, the team, and SMU, everyone's going to the playoffs who was already in there. Like, that's ridiculous. You created a bullshit story and you screwed everything up. And I'm glad they didn't do that this year at the very least. But Miami was better than SMU. Miami was better than Clemson. Miami was better than Boise State. I mean, Miami was just as good or better than Arizona State. Like this is even with Cam Scatterboo, we were better. We were just as good or better than them. So last year, what do? We go and we play in our Pop Tarts Bowl. We play in the Pop Tarts Bowl because there ain't the big thing about this Pop Tarts Bowl. It's a bowl game, man. It's a corporate sponsor. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a trip for these young guys to enjoy themselves. They get some free gifts, whatever. It's Pop Tarts. Do you not understand the names of these bowls are all corporate sponsors? Who gives a shit what the name of it is? You were going to play BYU, a really, really good team. And we played a really good team last year in Iowa State, and we lost 42-41. Cam Ward played a half. Xavier Restrepo didn't play at all. We had a 31-28 lead at halftime. We had a 38-28 in the third quarter, and our defense couldn't get the job done, and our offense behind Emory Williams could not score points. These are the things that happened. Nonetheless, we played in the bowl game, knowing that we had guys that were going to sit out. That's what it is, man. You use these 15 practices to get reps for your younger dudes. It just is what it is. But you don't steal these opportunities from players that are going to play their final game ever in life in football. There are guys that will never play football again in pads on this Notre Dame roster right now. And because a few crybaby fucks on that team who decided that they weren't going to play said, we're not playing, these guys all followed suit. But guess what? You had adults in the room. Pete Bavacqua, Marcus Freeman, the president of the university, whatever his name is, should have all said, no, that's not how we operate here. We're going to play. Because you know what? We owe it to our families. We owe it to our fans. We owe it to everybody that's around this program that has supported us through thick and thin. Don't sit here and say that Notre Dame fans wouldn't have shown up. They would have shown up. They're big. They're great fans. They follow their team. They love their team. It's a good opponent you're playing. And if Jeremiah Love doesn't want to play, that's on Jeremiah Love because CJ Carr sure as shit needs the reps. He's still nothing but a redshirt freshman. So what they did this week was embarrassing. It's pathetic. It's like taking your ball and running home to mom because you didn't get your way. And I've heard other people say the same thing. And I felt like I'm old school, man. I wish they would all play. I wish they would. I do think Notre Dame should be a playoff team. I've said that a million times. The Alabama narrative is absolutely insane. The Alabama, love fest and suck fest is nonstop. It never ends, and it never will until people start doing something about it. You didn't need a fifth SEC team in this tournament. You got 4 of them already. You didn't need a fifth one that just got beat by 21 points. This is the second time in 2 years where Alabama gets beat by 21 points and it has no impact on them. None. Last year, it had no impact. They were in the playoffs had Clemson not won that game. They were in. That's the bullshit. They were in, and people forgot that part. They would have put that 9-3 Alabama team that we saw play that wasn't very good, and they were going to put them in the playoffs. So, as far as I'm concerned, everything that Notre Dame's done this week has been pathetic. It's embarrassing, and I understand Bavacqua's desire to back his squad and sit here and say he's felt it's unjust and the whole night. You know what? I felt it last year, bro. And you know what Miami did? They played in the playoff. They played in the bowl game. They didn't cry about, oh, it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. What does that mean, bro? What does that mean? What does that all mean? It's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Who cares? Who cares? Like, it's a bowl game. It's a football game. Compete. I talked to Nick tonight on our show, and it's like, whoever doesn't want to play football, but you only got a certain lifespan in football. It doesn't go forever, bro. And you're complaining of the ACC's on irreparable harm. Well, guess what? Leave the ACC then, buddy. The ACC does not need Notre Dame's basketball teams or baseball teams or softball team or soccer team. The only team that they could use is the football team, but the football team doesn't want to play in the conference. So go to the Big 10, go to the SEC, go to the Big 12, or stay independent, but then you deal with the consequence. And now there's this MOU that was supposedly signed, this memorandum of understanding that if they're ranked in the top 12, then they're automatically in. That is absolutely outrageous. Look at their schedule next year. It's a joke. Their schedule's worse next year than it was this year. They still play Miami at home. That's their toughest game. They don't play anybody else next year besides Miami and USC. Their toughest game is on their home field. They got Boston College again. They got all these other bums again. The same bums they played this year, they're playing them next year. We can go over their schedule. What is their? I'll pull it up. Their Notre Dame 2026 schedule. Let's see here. Their schedule: Wisconsin was terrible this year. Rice, terrible. Michigan State, terrible. Purdue, terrible. North Carolina, terrible. Navy, same shit. Boston College. SMU, that's their toughest game besides Miami, and that's at home. So they play their two toughest ACC opponent games in their own stadium. Boston College, Syracuse, terrible. Stanford, terrible. USC. This schedule is fucking garbage, people. And they're going to sit here and say that if they're 10-2, they belong in the playoffs with this schedule? Anything short of 11-1, anything short of 11-1, they don't belong in the playoffs again because their schedule is trash. And as an independent team, guess what? You get to pick Rice and Michigan State and Purdue and Navy and Wisconsin. How about you play real Big Ten teams? How about you play fucking Ohio State? How about you play Michigan again? Oh, sorry, you canceled that one. How about you play Indiana? Heck, play Iowa. They were decent. How about you play somebody good? You're playing the dogs, man. These are some of the worst Big Ten teams there is to play. Like this is comedy. Oh, and USC's Big Ten. I forgot about them. They're Big Ten. I always think of them as Pac-10, so it doesn't matter. Pac-12, whatever. It's just a joke, bro. You have the opportunity to play better teams. You choose not to. You have the opportunity. You choose not to. And you sit here and you get on a podium talking about injustice. We were led to believe that we were in every single week. But, dude, you knew at the end of the day that they misranked Miami. You knew it. You knew it. And if you say you didn't, you're being disingenuous and you're a fucking liar. You damn well knew that they had misranked Miami from the day they did that first poll, putting Miami at 18, because they expected Miami to lose again. Miami managed to drop 16 spots, losing to 2 8-4 teams. And in fact, one of them was 7-1 in the first poll and ranked 15th in the first CFP poll, Louisville. So they were 7-1 at the time, 4-1 when they played us. SMU was struggling a little bit. They were still 6-3. They finished 8-4. They're not a bad football team, man. They're not a great one, but they're not a bad one. They're not a bad one at all. In fact, they are way better than the bullshit team that Notre Dame lost to last year, Northern Illinois. And I've had people in my comments saying, oh, Northern Illinois, we won every match. Look who you beat. You beat bums. You beat bums. If you beat bums, well, I'm going to treat you like you beat bums. SMU and Louisville this year are not bums. The only team that you played last year that was decent was Louisville. The rest of them were bums. And you only beat Louisville 31-24. It wasn't like you smoked them. Your other two ranked wins after you lost at Northern Illinois were Army and Navy. And yes, you did beat Texas A&M to start the season. Great. They weren't this year's Texas A&M. They sure were not. You beat bums, man. And you got into the playoffs, and then you played the result as the reason you got into playoffs. See, when you play the result and not what was real, that's the problem. That's the problem. I do think Notre Dame can make a run for the national championship, but you can't play results or projections. You got to play what is, what was, what happened. And you damn well knew as the AD, you should have been telling Marcus Freeman, look, man, you know better. You're a former football player. You damn well know that they beat you head to head. They beat us head to head. And if push comes to shove, if they have us side by side, they're going to push them above us. They're going to do it. So your beef all along should have been with the SEC, been with Alabama and the committee. But you chose to go after Miami for some reason for weeks. Like your fans were all over Miami. The reality was the problem has always been Alabama. Because if Alabama has done their job and beaten Oklahoma when they played in the regular season, Oklahoma wouldn't be in the playoffs and Notre Dame would. Have issue with the CFP that did not drop Alabama one spot. Even the AP dropped them a couple spots in the rankings. The CFP didn't drop them anywhere. And this is a team that's lost 2 of their last 3 real games and had a real tough one against a rival. Like, this is not a very good football team. This is not they're not a bad team. I know I say this. When I use words like suck, they're not a great team. They're not a bad team. They're a good team. But they're not a great one. And they got 3 losses. And they got a win that they damn near lost. I mean, they had multiple near losses to bad teams. South Carolina and Auburn. These are facts. I don't care that they beat Georgia. They lost to Florida State, who was 5-7. There's no accountability with Alabama. And this committee's saying, oh, they did well in a half. Well, great. I can point out lots of halves where people do well and still lose. And the game changes. Like I mean, we saw A&M down 30-3. Did you hold that first half against them? Or did you give them credit for winning against South Carolina? I mean, you tell me. What did you do, committee? But again, you're opting out of a freaking playoff game, and now you're threatening. Now you want to threaten people and say you're irreparable harm, man. Shut up, dude. And now I'm hearing that ADs across the country are sitting here saying maybe we're not going to play Notre Dame. Well, guess what? If you don't have anybody to play, you got bigger problems, man. You got bigger fish to fry. Yes, they're forcing you into a conference. They're trying to. They're trying their damnedest to force you into a conference because you cannot get away with playing 12 G5 schools and expect to make the playoffs, especially when you don't have a conference championship to back you up. They're petulant children, and they should be called out to the carpet for it. What they did by opting out of a bowl game is embarrassing. If I'm a parent of a player that I know is never going to play again, I'm pissed. If I'm a player that wanted to play and I got overridden by these bitch ass motherfuckers, I'd be pissed. You're not going to tell me that 85 guys said I don't want to play. You're not going to tell me that shit because you're competitors. You always want to play. You practice so that you can play games. Who doesn't want to play another game? Who doesn't want to get the free gifts at the freaking bowl game? Who doesn't want that? You want to know what's funny? The teams that are playing in the first round of the playoffs are not actually going to play in a bowl game. So they're not going to get the free gifts that come with playing in a bowl game because they're in the playoffs. So if they don't win this weekend, they'll never get those free gifts that they get at bowl games like they would get at the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, whatever, the Peach Bowl, you name it, the Chick-fil-A Bowl, whatever they call it now. Like, you're not going to get those spoils. Yeah, you might think it's a whole joke because it's the Pop-Tarts. Who gives a fuck what the name of the bowl is? The Orange Bowl, they throw oranges at you. What's so special about the Orange Bowl? At one point, it was the Capital One Orange Bowl. At one point, it was the Discover Orange Bowl. So they're giving you free credit cards with unlimited credit lines. 1 year it was the FedEx Orange Bowl. So for a period of time. So what? The FedEx, so you give you free FedEx forever? Like, shut up. The name is the name. It's a sponsor. This is childish. It's childish. And again, sitting here and saying that you got cheated, that's on you. Guess what? People play in bowl games. Why? Texas is playing. Michigan. Texas could opt out. There's other teams that have opted out, yes, and they've been fined by their conferences for doing so. There's some teams that opted out because they don't have any coaches. They have no coaching staff. That's a fact also. But teams who are opting out are getting fined for it by their conferences because you're not going to sacrifice our money because you're petty and soft. Like, that's you. Because there is money to be had in every one of these bowl games. And you turning down the option to play is costing your conference money. This thing is whack, man. And I get it. The system sucks. The whole playoff system, the way it's been designed is terrible. It's trash. I don't like it myself. I agree with them. I'm on board with that shit. I am totally on board. What I am not on board with is the bullshit. I'm not on board with the bullshit of crying about you didn't get this, that, and the third. That's whack, bro. You didn't get it because you lost to Texas A&M, a game you led with 2 minutes to go and blew. In fact, I can go back and show you what you did. I can show you. I got no problem doing it. I got time on my hands. This is a recording. So Texas A&M, we can go look. He lost 41-40. And again, last year you got the benefit of the doubt. You lost Northern Illinois. You got the benefit of the doubt. Sorry, you don't get the benefit twice. You don't get it twice. So you got here, play-by-play. You had a 17-7 lead on your home field. You blew that lead. You actually fell behind 28-24. You took a 31-28 lead, blew that lead again, 31-30, 31-31. You took the lead again, 34-34, and then they tied it again. So you had the lead multiple times and kept giving the lead away. And you're up 40-34, but you blew the extra point. And then you gave them the ball with 2 minutes and 53 seconds to go, and they went 74 yards down the field. I mean, this is what happened, bro. This is what happened. I'm not making it up. Your first play was second play was the Mark River for 34 yards. And yet you still had them 3rd and 8 from the 23, give them 9 yards, first down. You had them again, 1st and 10, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 11, 2nd and 16 from the 20, 3rd and 16 from the 20, and you committed a holding penalty to give him a first down. Why don't you call out Christian Gray, the guy that committed the holding with 39 seconds to go on a 3rd and 16? Then you got the ball at the 11-yard line. They get -10. They go -1. Incomplete pass. And here we are, 4th and goal from the 11-yard line with 13 seconds to go, and they complete a touchdown pass because your guy doesn't get in position to knock the ball away. That's on you, man. Whose fault is that? You did that. You did that. And at the end of the day, head-to-head matters, and you lost to Miami. No matter when it was this year, you lost to Miami, and that's it. And if the situations were reversed, Notre Dame would have been screaming about head-to-head. That's what makes them so pathetic. Like, I can acknowledge if Miami had had this same situation, I'm not arguing for Miami. We lost head-to-head. That's all that matters. Head-to-head has to count for something. Otherwise, don't play. Otherwise, we don't need to play. And right now, I guarantee you, November 7th of next year, if Miami plays Notre Dame and Miami loses, and they have identical records, Notre Dame's going to be screaming at high heaven about head-to-head. I promise you that. And they'll get it because they deserve it, because they earned it on the field with a win over the team that they were tied with. And that's actually a much more dangerous situation for the Hurricanes to play them in November than Notre Dame playing them in August, September, first day of September, or September 1st, or August 31st, whatever day it was. Because here's the reality. I think if Miami played Notre Dame today, Miami would beat them worse. I think Miami would beat Notre Dame worse today. A lot of people that think that Notre Dame's better. I don't. I think Miami is better than Notre Dame. And I'm a fan. I mean, let me be a fan. I've watched them both play. I don't care about blowing out bums. Blowing out bums don't mean shit. FSU blew out 2 big-time bums after beating Alabama and then got beat up by Virginia. And then Miami a week later was up 28-3 on Florida State in Tallahassee. In Tallahassee. Not at Virginia. In Tallahassee. Same place where Alabama got their ass kicked by Florida State. Like, these are facts. So, yeah, you have an argument against Alabama all day. You should have been arguing that shit for 4 weeks. You didn't. You didn't. You ignored Miami, the team that beat you head-to-head. That's what you did. I knew what the committee was doing. They knew they've made a mistake because they don't watch games. They don't watch games. They're a group of old people who don't care about football. They don't care about the sport. They're there to make a decision. They don't care who it hurts, who it helps. Yeah, let's throw Alabama in there. They're the only SEC, only conference championship loser to not drop 1 spot. In fact, most of them dropped more than 1 spot, which makes it worse because they got blown out. It wasn't a close game. It was a blowout. It was a wipeout. They didn't score a point for 3 quarters. But Notre Dame, cry me a river. Cry, cry, cry. Y'all pathetic. Y'all embarrass yourselves in this typical fashion. Petulant children act like a bunch of bitches, and your AD's a punk, and your president's a punk, and your coach ain't said a fucking word because you know what? He's letting his AD look like an idiot because he works for him. He let the AD make himself look stupid because anybody man to man ask Marcus Freeman as a man, Marcus, you played football. If you beat them head to head, what would you be screaming about? Head to head. And you damn well know it as a player, as a coach. Like listening to Marcus Freeman try to rationalize, and you see he's uncomfortable with it. How we're playing now. Well, how are you playing now? You beat Stanford. How are you playing? Miami just beat the hell out of Pitt. Worse than you did. Dominated better than you did. The Pitt coach said that Miami's better on both sides of the ball everywhere. Everywhere. Fuck. I mean, he played both of us on the side of a 3-week period. He said that Miami's better everywhere. And this is when Pitt was still playing for a chance to play for a conference championship. Shit. That's all I got. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.